Welcome everyone to Spoiler Warning. Usually at this point I bombard you with a whole host of headlines, but not today, because today it is the go home show. It is the final spoiler warning before Survivor Series, and there is plenty to talk about in the Survivor Series world. I hope everyone in America has had a fantastic Thanksgiving, but it's time to get back to business, to really be diving into the nitty-gritty of what's going to be happening at Survivor Series. We're going to be talking the world of betting odds, what they can tell us for what's likely to happen. We're going to be talking feuds afterwards, the build and the launch pad to WrestleMania, the Drew McIntyre heel turn naturally, and yes, of course, we will be asking the main question, the one on everybody's lips, the ones flying out of ESPN. Will CM Punk be there? There is a short on this channel that, let's just say, is absolutely making it in spades for the views at the moment with the good old YouTube search. A lot of people very interested in what's going on with, you guessed it, Charles Montgomery Punk. CM Flump, as I referred to him earlier. Plenty of people saying hi in the chat. Bailey says hello, Tom. Spiderboss says, do you think Team Cody could win? We'll be talking about all the winners and all the losers who turn out to be winners shortly. Sean says, hi Tom, welcome. Sean. Spiderboss says, when we could see Logan Paul's first USA title defense? Pretty much whenever he wants to. It's Logan Paul. He's in charge. Bailey says, 13 likes out of 18. Hit the thumbs up button. That's already gone up to 24. Our record now is 36 by 5 past 3 minutes. We have 52 people. It's perfectly achievable if you can hit that thumbs up for me. Thank you kindly. Carl says, good day, Tom. Welcome all. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up on YouTube. Turnbuckle Studios, well worth checking out if you're a wrestling fan as well. Brad says, don't forget to hit the like button also. Lovely. Lucha says, outside of a burst of t-shirt sales, I really don't know what Punk would bring to WWE. He would bring viewers, okay? He would definitely bring viewers. The man is a proven draw. It just depends whether or not those are viewers you want. Welcome Daniela as well. BC Amplifies says, salut Tom, do you have a packed, stacked and jacked? Well, I've not personally been jacking, and wow, that's a lot of caps. You're a hyped up person. Sai says, evening all. Evening, Sai. Raymond says, hello Tom and chat, and then just shouts, Wargames. Roger says, did you get any bargains in the Black Friday sale? I did not. I've been working pretty much all day in preparation for this show, and of course, my everyday life job as well. Lucha says, Survivor Series tomorrow, time to renew my Peacock account. If you're in America, Peacock is the only way to watch, so check it out. Spiderball says, I know someone has to lose, but I've never got why Damage Control loses a lot under Triple H. Same reason Sami Zayn lost a lot under Vince McMahon. They're going somewhere, they're just not there yet. Razar says, hi Tom, how's it going? Going well, thank you, Razar. Daniel Berry says, yo, welcome Daniel. And the user says, hey mate, welcome, the one and only user. Brad says, don't forget the SmackDown's on FS1 this week. Doesn't mean much to me over here in the UK, of course, but if you're a viewer, you might want to check that out. Kelly says, hey Tom, very excited for spoiler warning. Yes, let's go and go home show on SmackDown. Dan says, hello Tom. Hello Dan. KJ says, what's up Tom? What's up KJ? BC is giving me headlines from other people. Okay. Wiggly says, what up? What up, Wiggly? Mick says, the short is awesome, Tom. I'm glad people are enjoying it. I think you know what I'm going for with that one. If you're in the shorts feed, it just keeps going round and round and round. Before you know it, plenty of love. Wiggly, we're going to answer that imminently. Stumble says, hi, Tom. CM Punk should team up with Dom. Both relate to having deadbeat fathers. Okay. KJ says, everyone like, what's 57 viewers to 13 likes? Well, right now we have 67 viewers and 29. Can you be the one that takes us up to 30? We have 1 minute left to break a record. Lucha said, Punk comes back and puts over Gunter clean and retires. There is no world in which that will happen. Eric says, good evening, Tom. How are you doing? Doing very well. Thank you, Eric. Welcome to the show. Wiggly said, a friend is suggesting Sasha is returning tomorrow. What friend and why? Because, no. KJ says, sorry, I gotta say it, but I will say CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk, okay? By all means, if you want to throw all the CM Punk questions in there, do it. You guys know I love this. Absolutely bombard me with that name. Spiderboss says, I like the segment between The Miz and Gunter on Raw. Recently I heard Sean Ross Sapp taking credit for the Randy Orton news, and I remember spoiler warning said it first. Yeah. I kept you updated as best I could with all of the news for Randy Orton, and I'm very glad with where we got with it. Lux Baseman says, why is Bailey teasing Sasha? She's not. She's spending time with a friend. Maverick O says, bets have CM Punk returning. But honestly, I don't know at this point. The best thing to do is wait and see. This time last year, the betting averages also had The Rock winning the Royal Rumble. Just want to point that one out. But I do think it's a fair comment. The betting odds do inform a little bit. Now, we did not break our record, but we were very close. 34 likes. Not quite the 36, but still a damn good number. Thank you, everyone. And please remember to keep going. One more gets us to 35. Lucia says, I want to start my wrestling career, Tom. Will you be my Paul Heyman? Absolutely, I will. I think I'd be very good at that, to be honest, because people hate me. Razar says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Survivor Series? Quite excited, to be honest. Quite excited. I think it's going to be a great PLE. I'm also really excited to see people really disappointed by CM Punk not turning up, because CM Punk disappointing people is kind of what we expect nowadays. Mark says, hey Tom, how are you? Hope you had a good week. Looking forward to the stream. Hope the chat is good. Welcome, Mark. Good to see you, mate. Nice to see you still taking advantage of the promotion section. You're really keeping that alive in the Discord at the moment, and I really do appreciate that. It's encouraging other people to do the same. I'm really glad when I see you posting that, mate. So I appreciate you for that. Eric says, CM Punk will not be a Survivor Series. Repeat after me. And then it cycles around again and says, CM Punk will not be a Survivor Series. I've had a lot of responses to that. They're not happy ones, which only helps it grow. Yes, Khalid, thank you. The WWE quiz is still something I'm planning to do. It's going to be a wrestling quiz going wider. I want to do it at least once a week on the community page. I've got to be honest with you, I am at times forgetting. It's just a case of having a lot going on in my life at the moment, so every now and then I do forget. But I appreciate you saying that, because it reminds me of like the impact it had and the positivity around it. Stumble says, do you think CM Punk will beat Triple H in a buried alive match in the main event of WrestleMania one day? No. Leeds, welcome, mate. Says, I was number 30. Evening, Tom, and evening to you. Wiggly says he's a Digimon. Okay. Lucia says, haven't seen Brock in a while. Is he on the farm in silence? Silence, no. He's a big, loud guy. Just walking is quite loud for him, but he is on the farm at the moment. KJ said, Bailey's post basically insisted that damage with Asuka and Kairi was always in the work, long-term storytelling. What she said was, I always have a plan. That could also be her taking credit of the fact that damage control exists. Not sure I'm with you on that one, mate. Raymond says, Punk at Survivor Series, I didn't hear anything about that. Sarcasm added. You have to add the sarcasm. And honestly, anytime I read something out, sarcasm. Gordy says, what's up, Tom? Interesting that Survivor Series has sold more tickets than WrestleMania 22 that was held at the same arena. WWE business is continuing to do well. Wrestling in general is doing great right now. I know a lot of people just in general aren't loving AEW right now, but I will say they're still producing some very good content. And the fact that they exist at all is a huge achievement. For those that don't know, WTF Wrestling this week will be on Cody Rhodes, the Great Defector. Brad says, just say no to CM Punk returning to WWE. Devils is having a good laugh. One says, TK is putting Collision and Rampage tomorrow head to head. It risks Warner Brothers cancelling them. There's a couple of different reasons. Primarily they're being basically co-opted and forced to. It's not entirely on their own doing. Mr. Stumble says, Tom, do you miss traditional Survivor Series matches 5v5 elimination? I do, personally. I really enjoyed the 5v5. I thought it was fantastic and just great fun to do. But it's one of those where, as a concept, I don't think necessarily Wargames and Survivor Series elimination matches have to be mutually exclusive. You could have an elimination Wargames. Once everybody's in, then people can start being eliminated. I'd have great fun with that. Dylan says, hi Tom, welcome Dylan. Sean says, this is Gordon, the House of Wrestling, thank you for sourcing. Several WWE sources believe that MJF has quietly re-signed with AEW. One higher-up WWE source says there have been zero talks between MJF and WWE. No, because he's under contract with AEW, they cannot have that conversation with him. They further noted the idea of MJF entering the free agency imminently is a false narrative, and they believe he's re-signed into 2027. This happened a while back, so yeah. Eric says, who do you think Shinsuke is talking about if not Punk? Literally anybody else. Personally, I'd say Gunter might be a good shout, to be honest. Mr. Stumble says, Dave Meltzer confirmed CM Punk will be at Survivor Series, but you know how these things go and plans change. Ed has done me a favour on that one. In our Discord, which I'll link in a moment, in our Discord he has posted 2 different outlets which have quoted Dave Meltzer saying that CM Punk will be there and CM Punk won't be there. Both things that Dave Meltzer said. Sean says, what did you think of the Becky Xia match? Xia Lee's best match so far, at least on the main roster. Pardon me. Spider-Boss says, when we could see Liv Morgan back, they're not pushing her. They pushed her to come back too early at Money in the Bank, and it cost them. Lucci says, I remember Tom reporting WWE had zero interest back when Punk was fired. I'm sticking to that and remembering where I heard it first. Funnily enough, thank you, Sai, for posting the Discord. Appreciate you. Funnily enough, it's one of those situations where I report something, several months later, we're hearing a ton of the exact same news from the bigger names. Riyadh says, hey Tom, if CM Punk shows up at some Survivor Series, I'll eat my underwear. I am not committing to that. I am not committing to that. Okay? Not committing to that. Mark says, great job, mate. Love this show. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. And I very much appreciate the conversation we had in the chat earlier. I really like the way you've approached that. What I will say is that we had a fantastic conversation going on before we even went live in the YouTube chat. Thank you and many others for being a part of it. That does guarantee that we start the show with a huge amount of people immediately joining. So I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for chatting along, getting a few little exclusive bits of information ahead of time there, and just joining in. Kelly says, Tom, do you see Cody Rhodes wearing the face paint at Wargames because of the poster? Personally, no. I don't think he wants to hide the dashing face. Wow, Vegeta. So rude. Wiggly, Digimon is superior to Pokemon. I will die on that hill. Raymond says, I see Bayley taking the loss in Wargames. Just one more reason for her being kicked out of Damage Control. Well, certain things agree with you, and certain things do not. Roger says, Eva Marie confirmed she has ongoing talks with WWE regarding return in the future. Source, Ango YouTuber. If the source is Ango, then the source is not Eva Marie, and she hasn't confirmed anything. Dylan says, Tom, as much as I love Wargames, do you think WWE should sometimes bring back the traditional Survivor Series? Yes, I do. I think they could afford to have at least one. P says, evening, Tom. So gutted to miss Wargames. That's a shame, mate. I think it's going to be a very exciting time, but I'm sure you'll be able to catch up at some point. Kelly says, CM Punk will not be at Survivor Series. Repeat after me. Only Mr. Randy Orton will return tomorrow. Devil says, can't wait for all the CM Punk chants, just for him to not be on the entire show. Maverico says, Tom, more on The Rock. Who do you think is more possible for Reigns to face at WrestleMania 40? Cody or The Rock? Hard choice for me, but that's just how I feel. Maverick, I believe you're relatively new to the channel. Over the last 3 years, I'm approaching the end of my third year. Every single year, we see Dave Meltzer or someone at the Wrestling Observer report The Rock is going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. A couple of months later, Dave Meltzer or someone at the Wrestling Observer reports The Rock will not be at WrestleMania. Thus rumour killing their own rumour. Every year I've said the exact same and I repeat it now. Right now, The Rock is not booked for a single match with the WWE. The Rock has never been booked for a single match with the WWE against Roman Reigns in the last several years. What I will say, Cody Rhodes is far more likely, primarily because he's contracted to wrestle. Daniela says, what do you think WWE are teasing with the face-offs between Aldis and Pierce? I mean, Nick Aldis is definitely going to be wrestling, and I think Adam Pearce just warming him up. Marcel says, hi, Tom and chat. Welcome, Marcel. Wiggly says, someone promises you wrestling tickets and he wants to do any WCW show in the Vince Russo era. That's basically how to sum up Digimon. Once again, Digimon is far superior to Pokemon. And you actually make the exact wrong argument here, because Pokemon had the most 2D character in the world. I want to be the best Pokemon trainer in the world. Okay, if you can't achieve that, what do you want to be? The best in the world. Okay, right. What's your favourite colour? Best Pokemon right, okay. Right. So, let's say that you have to pick between going out for a walk and sitting down for a meal. Pokemon trainer! That was his entire character. Digimon has interesting characters. And I will go to my grave on that one. Spider-Boss says, I heard the guy under the devil mask laugh and immediately thought it's Jack Perry. That's what I think. Adam says, hi Tom, welcome Adam. Wiggly says, edgy take, I don't care for Survivor Series anymore, it's not one of the big PPVs. Wargames would disagree with you. Zane says, only time will tell if CM Punk will show up. He will not show up. I don't know any other ways to really describe that. He will not show up. KJ says, Tom, please clear this up. Why is Twitter blowing up about Collision going head-to-head with a WWE PLE? It's not. I think I don't believe you have Twitter. Twitter's really not blowing up. Spider-Boss says, I'm happy that Survivor Series isn't brand versus brand anymore. WWE used to bury SmackDown at Survivor Series. It really did. Wiggly says, for me, the big pay-per-views now are different ones. Survivor Series is still a big pay-per-view. Dog Knight says, sorry if it's slow sports news and it's already been approved or disapproved, but LA Knight versus Nakamura. I don't see it just yet. LA Knight will be protected, but elsewhere. Peace says, do you think Dave hears voices in his head? Yeah, because he's always wearing headphones. Maverick says, I think Shinsuke could be talking about CM Punk because he asks, where are you? Which in my opinion could mean whoever he's calling out isn't part of the active roster yet. That also supports the ideas Randy Orton or Big E. Just going to throw out there, or Big E. Mr. Stumble says, more likely to happen first, CM Punk or Ryback? CM Punk. CM Punk is more likely. I know what you were going for there, but CM Punk is more likely because CM Punk wants to. One says, am I the only Chicagoan that hates CM Punk? Those 17k Chicagoans got baited. Not everyone's there for that. Not everyone's there for that. Daniela says, do you see in the future Carlito, Joaquin and Cruz versus Escobar and Los Lotharios? That is being rumoured. I haven't personally heard anything about it, though. Lucha says the AEW ratings this weekend are going to stink. Yeah, so I reported way back that the WWE suspected that SummerSlam, or were intending to have SummerSlam, destroy Collision. Collision has not recovered. Stumble says, Ted DiBiase is the fifth person, disappoint both Randy and Punk fans. Would it disappoint you? Would it? I think that would be hilarious. Sean says, do you know anything about WWN saying Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo are expected to join Santos Escobar? I do not. Brad says, if CM Punk does show up, Tom will admit he was wrong and so will I. I mean, if he shows up, he shows up. Absolutely. Hands up on that one. Sometimes everybody gets things wrong. He's not going to. But I'm not the sort of person who doubles down and says, oh, something must have changed. If he shows up, he shows up. He's just not going to. Rhea says, I can't wait for the Punk chance just for him not to show up. Noob says, hello Tom and everyone, I'm excited for Survivor Series Wargames. As someone from Nintendo said, my body is ready. Is that Nintendo? Don't think that's Nintendo. Into the Wrestleverse. And Into the Wrestleverse, for everyone who's aware of it, follows me on Twitter and, you know, reads everything I do. And also makes a point of saying, I've got the proof regards to CM Punk and can send it to anyone. Okay, send it to me. Send it to me right now. Send me the proof. Come on. Come on. Because here's the thing. In front of about 100 people, you, Into the Wrestleverse, have just staked your entire reputation on one thing. And if that one thing is wrong, trust me, all these 100 people are going to remember you. And I will make sure of it. Thank you very kindly, Martin. Says a massive thank you, mate. You're a legend. Can't thank you enough. And smash those likes. Thank you for the very generous donation. I very much appreciate it. Daniela says the fact WWE letting fans vote who gets the Women's Wargames advantage is, to be honest, a joke. They need the engagement. It is just another way to build things. Into the Wrestleverse is indeed sending a DM. I'm genuinely interested in this. Alex says, I don't know if you saw, but Fightful did say today Punk had talks with a WWE higher up recently. Fightful also reported yesterday that it absolutely wasn't happening. Eric says, which would you rather happen, Rock or Cody? Cody, because he's actually a wrestler. Roger says, what an excellent segment. MJF basically told Samoa Joe to F off on the title match he promised him. Adam Cole convinced him that's not what the new MJ... I'd imagine there's more to come, Roger. Andrew Quinn says, Survivor Series Wargames is going to be epic. As much as I used to love the tag team matches of Raw and SmackDown, I think the double steel cage match of the 5 members on each team is absolutely incredible. Raymond says, could the Aldis Pierce face-off be the start of a tag title split? I mean, it could be. Could be. Stumble says, Tom, when did you become tired of Team Rocket? Biggest heel turn ever. Pokemon is crap. Like, let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you disagree. But I think if you're after a certain age, you know that it's not very good. Paper Mega 5,000 says that once Cody wins the title at WrestleMania 40, plus LA Knight gets the United States title, maybe the next push is for CM Punk, who is not a part of WWE. Oh, Eric has some favourites as well. Machine Dramon and Metal Sea Dramon. Always those Draymons. I can't stand War Greymon. Martin says, good evening, yo, Tom and everyone in chat. Eric says, I loved Pokemon growing up now. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Hector says, if the goal is to get Nick Aldis to wrestle again, who do you think should wrestle as his proxy? That could be a good way for a potential call-up or bring someone new in. I don't think he'll have a proxy. I think he is personally standing between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, and I think that's how we get Cody there. Dylan says, now that you reminded me, why did The Rock say a match between Roman and him was set for WrestleMania 39 if he was never going to wrestle? It's a very fair question. Certainly drummed up a lot of interest. Mark says, how long do you think Gunter will have the IC title and when do you think he'll go after the WHC, that being the World Heavyweight Championship? Not sure. Personally, I thought he would have lost it already. I kind of suspected that might have been how Damian Priest won a championship, but we'll see how it goes. Michael says, do you know any future plans for Lashley? They're still working out what to really do with him. There's no big championship push coming, but they're using him regularly on TV, which is a good start. Joey says, hey Tom, got any news on AOP and Gallus going to the main roster? No. I've already reported everything I had on AOP, and at this point I don't have anything further. Don't worry, Martin, I'm keeping an eye. I'm waiting for Into the Wrestleverse to let me know they've sent me a DM, so that I can then swap over. Rizal says, I think Nakamura is talking about Cody. I think that's Cody's post-Survivor Series feud heading into the Rumble season. I've got my eye on Drew McIntyre for that one. Danny B-Side says, Randy to screw his side and RKO Jay. Wow. So Into the Wrestleverse, who said, I have evidence and I'll send it to anyone, has just said, I'll send it afterwards. Right. Okay. You realise how funny that is, right? You realise, again, public area, about 100 people in here, and you said, I'll send it, I'll send it, I'll send it. No, I won't. Do you know when a heel, like a chicken shit heel, comes down to a wrestling ring and then runs away and says, no, I'll wrestle you on my terms? Like, even if CM Punk does now come back, I still don't think you're right. I still can't trust you. It's not possible. I mean, you follow me on Twitter and you come in to say, hey, I hate this guy, it's horrible. And you follow everything I do. You're my biggest fan, mate. You're my biggest fan. Yes, Danny B-Side said, Randy to screw his side and RKO Joe. I definitely think Jay will be RKO'd, but I think they'll have already won the match. Zane, I've not really listened to much of Dave LaGreca. Joey says, I think the Shinsuke storyline would be a big letdown if it turned out to be someone already on the roster. Raymond says, hi Troll and bye Troll. Bailey says, the best way WWE can maximise CM Punk talk and still have him wrestle, you show him in a box seat, says hello to the crowd, and that's it. Well, I did say last week, we're not going to see him wrestle. Oh, that's very good news, Martin. Very good news. Thanks for updating us. Wiggly says, CM Punk would do better going on a reality TV show at this rate. Reckon he would. Spiderboss says, would you rather have Roman versus Cody or Roman versus Solo? Solo any day of the week. Paper Mega still very much a fan of CM Punk winning the Undisputed Championship. Maya says, I can't wait for WrestleVerse to send you House of Wrestling. I kind of suspected it might. Stumble says, the romance between Brock and offers a genuine cinema. Brad thinks Digimon is far better. Eric says, do you still think Chad Gable will dethrone Gunter? The moment it seems he lost all the moment he once had, but I hope they run it back. I certainly think he's had a lot of momentum added to him from that feud, and I'm excited for more of it. Jim Dawson says, does LA Knight have a match at Survivor Series? He doesn't. No, he will not be on that card. They will be making the effort over the next few weeks to make sure you know they haven't forgotten about him. He'll have a big moment at WrestleMania. Backwards says, crazy, in a few months we're coming up on 10 years since CM Punk walked out of WWE. Eric says, video games, Pokemon, television, Digimon, plain and simple. True. Vegeta says, Digimon wasn't on for 25 years. It was on for more. Someone hasn't been paying attention. It was on for more over the course of 5 different seasons. Zane says, Toni Storm is something special. Don't think we've even scratched the surface of this character yet. I think she's found her groove. And that's it. She's definitely found her groove. Danny B-Side says, when Survivor Series is over, the CM Punk rumours will die. Yeah, they'll just push him back to Royal Rumble. Sean says, Becky was on Celebrity Jeopardy recently. Her episode drew 4.2 million viewers, which was the highest of the season. Also, Becky made history by being the first contestant to never answer a question correctly. She breaks records. What can we say? What can we say? Raymond says, what are your thoughts on the use of B-Fab with Lashley? Good. Solid. Gets her on TV without necessarily taking up time from anyone else. It's a really good use of her, which gives her an interesting character and an interesting storyline without necessarily throwing her in the ring while she's still developing. It's quite clever, I feel. We've got a few high trolls, by trolls going on, and I enjoy that. Mine says Wrestleverse past your bedtime. P says I have the winning lottery numbers. We'll send them to you after the draw. Oh, lovely, lovely. Good stuff. Eric says, personally, I would book a rematch between Gunter and Gable at the Rumble, with Chad winning, then Gunter enters the Rumble angry AF and wins, maybe with an elimination record. KJ says, Wrestleverse is basically Zero and BWE. Be a man and follow your word. Sorry if I'm being rude, but I'm actually tired of it, and it's crazy because WWE will be blamed when he doesn't show up. WWE will be blamed if he does show up. WWE are the heels, guys. They're the heels. Wiggly says Jeopardy only ever had one series in the UK in the 1980s, then got asked. Here's the thing, Wrestleverse. I don't trust you. I'm not going to derail my show for you. There's no world in which that happens. Go away. Also, stop following me. I mean, I don't need your fandom if you're going to come in here and try and accuse me of things. I don't need you. I have friends here. You do not. You don't know the difference because this is the closest you ever had to having friends. Kevin says, kickoff show, do you think WWE need to add a Survivor Series tag team match like Team Adam versus Team Nick Aldis? Nope. Vegeta says, Punk returns to be on commentary. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. Spider-Boss says, I can't believe some fans still want Mercedes money to return to WWE. A lot of people do. A lot of people definitely do. Razar says, WrestleVotes reported AOP and Gallus are featured in the Survivor Series programs that are sold and some fans posted the pics. Does this mean anything? Nope. I mean, they might be right. But WrestleVotes is one of those. I'm waiting for someone who actually has a name on it. And that's the thing. If, for example, you put your name out there and your face out there and say, I report this, if something goes awry, I will be culpable for it. That's very different from an account like WrestleVotes, who are like, if it's wrong, who knows? If it's wrong, the sources are wrong. So if your account is like a Zero News or an Into the Wrestleverse, you're not taking accountability. You sit there and say, I know everything. I know everything. And what actually happens is you turn up and you're like, no, everyone else is horrible. So full of hate. I need you to, like, calm down. Because you'll end up having a stroke or, like, a heart attack. Because of, like, the constant hatred and bile in your heart. Zane says, what is the greatest wrestling game of all time? I personally love WrestleMania 2000. Riyadh says, Tom, would I be right in saying Shinsuke doesn't have a match at Survivor Series? You would. Martin says, P.S. in the crowd doesn't count as being back. Tom already said he may be in the crowd Monday. He may have bought a ticket. I mean, I would. If I was him, I definitely would. That'd be hilarious. Dylan says, Tom, who do you see taking the title off Seth? Hard to say. I'm saying Damian Priest at this point, to be honest. KJ says, I'm surprised WWE doesn't just do a Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series PLE and a Wargames PLE. I mean, why when you can do both? Wiggly says, CM Punk can't accept is not relevant for WWE anymore. Well, we don't know what CM Punk can and can't accept. We don't. Spider-Boss says, fun facts, in less than a year, WWE broke up the tag teams that main evented WrestleMania 39, Night 1. Yep, and there's lots of war to be going on with. Joey says, do you have any news on Mercedes? Let me know if you have any questions on Mercedes, and I'll try to answer them. But at the moment, I don't have any particular updates. Dog Knight says, Tom, why don't WWE and Lego do a collaboration? I have no idea if that's ever been a question. Eric says, Tom, what are your thoughts on timeless Toni Storm? Once again, I think she's found her groove and found a good character that works for her. Martin says, of only 5 matches, could we see a possible cash-in? Maybe a perfect time if Seth's hurt after Wargames. I'd go for it, but I think Damian Priest might also be a bit hurt. Roger says, what is the greatest Survivor Series match of all time? Oh, it depends what you mean, like, when it comes to what you mean by Survivor Series match. Do you mean an elimination match? Because personally, I'm going for the one that was won by Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Way back when. Hesitant to bring up the name, but you know what I mean. You're asking me to show my DMs. That's invasive and a bit stalkerish. We have stalkers, guys. We have stalkers. Hey Bruce, how you doing? James says Punk returns to be blacklisted the next week. He's not going to return. Backwards says I just rewatched Survivor Series 02. That was a good show. And Martin says 2002 was excellent, 91 was great as well, but 96 for me was the go. I'm a Deadly Games man as well. I loved Survivor Series 98. That was my era. Jim Dawson says Rumble winner is either Knight or Balor, and maybe Gunter if he loses the title. I still want Solo. Solo's what I'm after. Wrestleverse, when you come in here and say, follow me, not other people, that's desperate. There's a stench of desperation with you now. And I'm just going to let you keep going because, you know, thank you for continuing to feed my chat rate. Very much appreciate it. I don't know if you know this. You probably don't because you don't know what you're talking about. But YouTube encourages other people to find a channel based on chat rate and engagement. Every time you comment in this chat, you are helping convince YouTube to advertise my shows more, helping convince YouTube to grow my channel, and helping get to the point where all we have is more and more and more subscribers. You're spreading the word. We've already had another 4 subscribers while I've been doing this, and I just want to say thank you. Wow, you really have no life. You really have no life. Keep going, keep going. One says a Mercedes money and Ronda Rousey potentially new toys for TK. I'm not going to refer to women as toys. I'm not going to do that. I understand what you're trying to say. I definitely think you could phrase it better. Rizal says CM Punk is definitely stirring the pot with his IG post too. I don't think he'd be doing that if he was coming back. Debatable. Man's a troll. Some people are just good trolls. Riyadh says the gimmick Toni Storm is using is amazing and she's killing it. She's my favourite female wrestler at the moment. Watch for this shoe. Okay? Just, guys. Watch for this shoe. I'm into it. Man says if Punk does, slim chance return, I will genuinely say sorry but maybe be nicer and don't come in attacking genuine wrestling reporters. Cold respect, this isn't a troll channel. Even if Into the Wrestleverse is absolutely right. There are ways to approach things, this ain't the way to do it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. This is not me sat here saying this is going to happen, this is going to happen. I don't think Punk's coming. I don't think there's any chance Punk's coming. What was that I said to Mark? 0.00009%. How many wrestling journalists right now are saying, it's not happening, but it might happen. It's not happening, but it might happen. They're all covering their bases. I have an opinion, and I'm saying, no. No, Martin, you do your thing. Raymond says, hi, stalker, bye, stalker. Love it. Oh, I know, Wiggly, I know. Sean says, do you think the tag team title match will main event SmackDown tonight? No idea. No idea. I need to go through the preview. I haven't been able to do it because I'm a little bit busy today. I've just had a lot of work on. Before we then, of course, go live later on with our watch party. If you've never watched one of the watch parties for WWE SmackDown, we're going to be having a watch party, 1 for SmackDown tonight, 2 for Survivor Series tomorrow. I look forward to seeing all of you there, including the trolls, because you'll just help it grow. Spiderboss says, I always wonder if WWE was going to do something with the pair of Mercedes money with Zelina and Carmella in 2021 before SummerSlam. So, I reported that Mercedes money, then Sasha Banks, over a week ahead of time, said to the WWE she would not be there. The WWE were aware of this. She was not booked for the Go Home show. And it's one of those where it was great fun. Fightful and PWInsider both called the report a lie. TalkSport also called the report a lie. A couple of weeks later, TalkSport asked Becky Lynch what was going on with Sasha Banks, and she said, yeah, they knew a week ahead of time she wasn't going to be there. She wasn't booked. Always really enjoy those moments. Khalid says, Tom, I watch women's Wargames 2019, the men's, to get ready for tomorrow, and so you should. I don't necessarily believe there was anything, by the way, Spiderboss, planned for a group. It was just basically having people as buffers in the way to stop Sasha from actually having to wrestle. Mine says, best show ever, Tom, on fire. Thank you kindly. Family Forever says, hey, Tom, the troll's obsession with you. So many. So many. Rhea says the shoe in WrestleVerse in the face. I don't even need to react to it. You guys are on fire. As Sean says, how do we all think Timeless Toni Storm would be booked in WWE? She wouldn't. We've seen it. Rizal says, what do you think of the way Jay White has been booked in AEW? I know he's been one of your faves. I think he's been booked pretty well. He's been in prominent positions. I've seen him live in that time at Wembley, and I think he's had a championship opportunity. It's just not necessarily one of those moments where it was going to be the big championship. Jay White was never religiously the top champion in New Japan, but he was always in the conversation, and that for me is everything you want. Zane says, what did CM Punk tell Adam Copeland when he tried to feel him up? Not sure what you're talking about, and I'm okay with it. One says, if Mercedes money comes to AEW, where do you see her debuting if there is still a chance? There is still a chance, and I still maintain we're going to see Saraya versus Mercedes. Eric, you do not have the power to block people. Like, you can block people on your own thing, by all means do so, but like, you're not a mod here. Dylan said, Tom, when do you think Jade Cargill will have her first match? Personally, I think Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. I will stick with what I've already been saying for a while now. The Royal Rumble would be the perfect time for a debut of Jade Cargill, very similar to what happened way back when for Lacey Evans. What I will say is we've gained 5 subscribers already on this stream in about a half hour. We have 57 likes and 95 viewers. If you've not yet done so, please remember to hit that thumbs up. It does guarantee the growth of the channel even more than the massive chat rate that we've got. Over the last few shows, we've reached a point where we're in and around 500 comments per stream, which is absolutely incredible, and I owe you all a massive thank you for it. Brad says they don't want to admit when they are wrong. Even if they're right, I don't trust them. Absolutely untrustworthy. A bad person's a bad person. Razar says, shout out to you, Tom, for being one of the only journalists to give a straight-up answer on Punk. I don't see it happening. I don't see a world in which they do that. I'd be very disappointed if it actually happened. Very disappointed. But, you know, stranger things. That's what all the wrestling journalists are doing now, isn't it? That's what they're all doing. CM Punk definitely not coming back, unless he does. Joey, I do not have an update on Julia. I've not reported anything on Julia. I have no sources saying anything about it. Martin says, Tom's interviewed Triple H. Have you? No, he just fakes being a reporter. I interviewed Triple H twice. Twice. Technically 3 times. One was a mass interview scrum, so I don't really count it. Derek Berry says, when do you think they'll do Randy versus Cody, and when will the turn be? I think we're way too early to have a conversation about that. He's literally just coming back tomorrow. Eric says, if they knew in advance, why did they still permit her? What do you mean permit her? Permit her to what? Joey says, is it true Odyssey Jones isn't being pitched to join Bobby Lashley's group anymore? Was he ever? Is there any evidence that he was? Mine says, I thought the UK football YouTube world was full of trolls. Yeah, you never get away in wrestling. You never get away. Spider-Boss says, it pissed me off when Nia Jax turned on Mercedes, Survivor Series 2016 and 2017. Nia Jax, innit? Sean says, when Adam Cole was going to defend the belt for MJF, I thought that was when MJF would lose the belt. The day did not come. Kervin says, we almost got the Naomi versus Bianca Belair match, pay-per-view Hell in a Cell. There's been a lot of people that the WWE have really wanted to have work with Naomi. There was a lot of interest in Ember Moon versus Naomi way back when, but for some reason the WWE never really used Naomi. Riyadh says, I also think Jay White has been booked well. In my opinion, it was a bad luck losing to an injured MJF who had already wrestled a match on the same night. True. Chris Leclerc says, Io Sky is the only superstar to be in every women's Wargames, and long may it continue. Thomas Phipps is here, says, hi Tom, sorry that I'm late, we'll be watching back from the start. Appreciate it. Spider-Boss says, I remember Brad Shepard kept saying Mercedes money was returning in 2019. Yeah, he did. He did. That was around the same time of my report saying, hey guys, leave her alone. She'll come back when she's ready. Joey, this is a slightly different show. I mentioned it at the beginning. A slightly different show in which we're doing basically a go-home show. So this is the go-home show for Survivor Series incoming. We're not necessarily with a wall of news here. It's more a case of preview, answering questions and the like. And to be fair, 40 minutes in, there's still plenty happening. Bailey says, Tom, you mentioned Lacey Evans. Her 90-day window is up very soon. Are any companies interested in her? Depends if she's interested in those companies. Raymond says, I feel bad for WrestleVerse. Seems to not want to let anything go. He's been brutalized here and will not stop. Backwards thinks CM Punk will never, ever come back. And Jim says the winner of the Rumble is challenging Seth so they can save Roman for Cody, right? I found that likely. Joey, I get that. There are about 100 people in here. We've so far had nearly 300 views. I unfortunately cannot pitch the whole show to one person. A lot of these shows are really a lot more based on engagement, and if you have questions, by all means go for it. The topic is Survivor Series. If it's not for you, I completely understand. I also understand that what you ideally would like is for me to take my spoiler warnings, cut out just the news, and then post them as well. The issue is that doesn't help the channel. So I get that will be ideal for a lot of people. There's a lot of people who come in here just casually, don't say anything, and just take the news. That's not for everyone. Didn't get cut. The situation's very different. That's what I mean. She would have to be interested in someone else. Spiderball says, I think WWE only cared about Naomi because she was Mercedes' tag team partner. I did mention at the time when I reported that Sasha was going to be going into the tag division that she was basically choosing. I'm sure they will, Family Forever. Here's the thing. People already call me a liar and a fraud, despite all of the evidence otherwise. So I'll have a show that has even more people. I'm alright with it. Mark says, if you can build your own Survivor Series team of today's WWE talent, who would you have? I would definitely have Gunter. No, Joey, it's a go-home show for Survivor Series. It's not a every week thing. There's not a pay-per-view every week. I feel I explained that. So I definitely have Gunter. I definitely have Seth. Roman's got to be in there at the moment as well. After that, it gets a little bit harder because you've got some really talented people who definitely aren't making that cut. I go towards Bobby Lashley personally. I think there's a huge amount of talent there. But it's difficult then to go off the beaten path and say this person deserves to get that top spot. I might go Dominic. Ooh, Logan Paul. Yeah. Razar says you could add timestamps for the news, so spoiler warning streams for people who want to catch it later. I could, that is an option. But if you're catching it later, whenever you hover over the time bar, there are little ebbs and flows, and the ebbs are where the news is. Also, I have this way of doing things where if I'm reporting news, I do this. So I make a point of looking directly into the camera. So if you skip into something and I'm looking directly into the camera, you're on news. If I'm over here, it's because I'm reading the chat. I try and differentiate as best I can. Just gotta catch up. Dog Knight says Liverpool versus Man City will be the biggest Wargames fight this week. We'll see. I don't think anyone's going to get massively injured in them. Spider Boss says Mercedes Money's crew got angry with me for putting you over with the Mercedes Money news last year, which is hilarious when you consider what actually happened. It's one of the people that I have the strongest record for. Raymond says people can call you a liar all they want. You have a proven track record of reporting with accuracy and integrity. Keep it up, Tom. Here's the thing. If CM Punk turns up tomorrow, a whole load of people will call me a liar. Absolutely. If CM Punk doesn't turn up tomorrow, nobody will say a thing. Nobody will mention that I'm the one who's constantly been saying it's not going to happen. Nobody. Nobody will care. They only care when they can be on the attack. So I don't care about them. That's it. Aled says, do you think Randy Orton will take many bumps tomorrow, or will they restrict how much he does with the injury? They will restrict how much he does. I suspect he'll be the last one in. Dylan says, Tom, could you see Bayley potentially being dropped from damage control if she's pinned tomorrow night? Potentially, he's doing a lot of carrying there. Potentially, yes. I don't see it happening there yet, though. Eric says, do you think we're getting an Uso versus Uso match for Mania? Yep. One says, CM Punk can always go back, kiss up to AEW if WWE says no. He absolutely cannot. Tony can name Karan. There's good evening from America. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's Survivor Series Wargames. Good to hear, mate. Thank you, Evan St. John, for subscribing to the show. Very much appreciate it. You'll get a notification every time we go live with spoiler warning and our standard shows, WTF Wrestling, which this Sunday will be Cody Rhodes centric, and starting from this upcoming Wednesday, PLE Wednesdays, with all of the hype going up to the premium live events. Jim says, I keep hearing people calling LA Knight too old. What about Balor and Priest? And I think long-term Finn Balor has a lot of championship opportunities coming his way. Martin says, this prove someone wrong attitude is why society is a mess. The one-upman show now so sad. I said on your show last night, Martin, the whip it out and measure it crowd has far too much of a voice. Tony says, curious question for those living in the UK. Will Survivor Series Wargames air on TNT Sports box office? Yes, but also we have access to the WWE network if we want it. Spider-Boss says, WWE didn't mention the Bella twins while they promoted USA Network show Barmageddon. Did WWE ban the Bellas? No. Martin welcoming all new subscribers. And yeah, just to agree with Joey here, he is entitled to give his critique and give his opinion here. I'm open to feedback at all times, just to be clear on that. Daniela says, smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. Big up chat, and then drops a Viper. If you haven't hit like yet, we're now on 59 likes. One more will get us to 60. Can you be the one? Dane says, do you think the men's or the women's war games will be the best match? The men's. I think the women's will be more high flying. The men's will last longer and have more weapons. Khalid says, Tom, I'll most definitely be in your stream for War Games tomorrow. Chris says, if Damage Control wins, Shotzi will be pinned. If Bianca Belair teams win, I believe Bayley will get pinned. Kevin says, tonight SmackDown Street Profits versus Judgment Day. One problem, who's the babyface? No one. Which means someone else will likely get involved. Q43 says, hello Tom, how big of a loss is Ospreay to New Japan? None. He will still be wrestling for New Japan. Spiderboss says, Triple H, one of the best heels of all time, now is a beloved babyface. These things do happen. Tony reminding us, SmackDown is on FS1. Martin says, Tom, got called the most sensible Liverpool fan ever by my community. Major props. Well, I'm very happy with that. I try my best to be as objective as possible while still being a fan. Right, so we are very close to a point of caught up. We're getting a question about the show itself. So let's talk about Survivor Series. Sean has asked if the women's opens and the men closes. That is exactly what I see happening. Now, the betting odds favour heel wins all the way through until the main event, suggesting that Damage Control will win the women's women's War Games match. I personally agree. I think Damage Control are in a position to pick up the win, but I don't think Bayley will be involved. I suspect we're going to see, for example, Kairi Sane pinning Shotzi. Shotzi's mostly there for the pin and to jump into things. She's a bit of a daredevil, what can I say? When it comes to the women's War Games, I know there's a lot of hype right now about Bayley breaking off from the group, and that will happen. I've been talking about that since WrestleMania. Bayley is going to be the face going forwards. Right now, she's not in that position. They need to build up a little bit more sympathy for her. They need to make her a little more excluded before we can start making this happen. Yeah, Martin, I know exactly what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. The fact that one account has gone quiet and other accounts are suddenly talking a lot, it's very telling, isn't it? It's very telling. So the women's match, I think, will be carnage, but as it doesn't feature Rhea Ripley, it won't be all power, just mostly power. Becky Lynch is definitely going to dive off something. Io Sky is definitely going to dive off something. I'm expecting an insane elbow off the top, but I think Damage Control are winning and will celebrate without Bayley. They'll celebrate without Bayley. For Gunther versus The Miz, this is mostly about history. And honestly, when it comes to Gunther and The Miz, the idea is that The Miz adds extra credibility to the reign of Gunther. He's a top-level talent. He has been for a very long time. He has, after all, main-evented WrestleMania, won 2 world championships. He is a top-level competitor. Gunther beating him will add that credibility to Gunther. I'm excited for the match and excited for the combinations that we'll be seeing. For the women's match, Rhea Ripley defending against Zoe Stark. It's a big opportunity for Zoe Stark, don't get me wrong. It's not an opportunity that I can see a win coming from. There will not be a championship changing hands there, and I don't see any championships changing hands in the entire night, personally. The entire night. So I think Rhea Ripley will comfortably beat Zoe Stark, but we're trying to build Zoe Stark up. She'll look good in defeat, as she did in her feud with Becky Lynch as well. It's a shame Trish Stratus didn't stick around to put over Zoe Stark, in my opinion. There is one more match. And honestly, at this point, it's one of those where I do feel it's the most likely to go either way, because Carlito's just back and he hasn't exactly been picking up a lot of wins, or in fact wrestling a lot. Carlito versus Santos Escobar, I think this will be a coronation moment for Santos Escobar. I definitely see a world in which Santos Escobar steps up in a big way and proves what he's capable of. Santos Escobar, for me, is one of those that shouldn't have been forgotten the way that he has been. Absolutely shouldn't have been. And yet here we are in a world where he is in fact forgotten. It's just very, very awkward for everyone involved. Just so you know, the evidence sent by WrestleVerse is messages that they've sent a random person. There's no evidence, there's no name, there's no nothing. Nothing. No credibility at all. Again, even if you're right, this is embarrassing. So, I think Santos Escobar's picking up the win. We'll get a coronation moment, and it'll be a big moment for him. Moving on from there. Then, of course, we have the men's Wargames match, in which the only match for the betting odds that say the faces are going to win it. And I can definitely see that happening. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton celebrating, particularly when it comes to Randy Orton and Jey Uso. The night finishing of Jey Uso being RKO'd by the Viper. I just imagine that will be a great crowd-pleasing moment. That, of course, then will result in people thinking, oh, it's gonna happen now. It's gonna happen now. Punk's gonna come out now. And then it fades to black. Or they do that bug thing and then, hey, maybe CM Punk. I'm just really enjoying the discourse. Even if he actually turns up, you know I'm just going to find it funny. You know this. You know how I operate. Just going to be great fun. Those are my predictions. That is what I expect for Survivor Series. Where was I up to? Vegeta says, I very much hope that Okada chooses WWE. He's already arguably the greatest wrestler in New Japan history. Only Tanahashi can actually compete. Q43 says, what do you think of A-Town Down Under? Personally think it's hurting both Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. What do you think? I think, unfortunately, they would not be on TV without each other. Khalid says, Tom, after Wargames, do you think Cody Rhodes will feud with someone else? Yes, I think that will be Drew McIntyre. Joey says, do you see WWE doing a new Joshi type of group with Asuka, Io and Kairi? Nope, because they'll be adding Dakota Kai to it. Jim says, everybody's talking about Jey and Orton, but I'd love to see Orton versus Drew. We have recently. There is some heat there. I can see that happening at some point. Rosal says, Becky, Charlotte and Bianca taking an L while teaming up is kind of crazy to imagine, especially clean. And yet, here we are. Mine says, I think Drew, to be honest, or Orton turns at the end of Wargames. I think Randy Orton is in the same position as Steve Austin always used to be, where he can do whatever he wants, he can stun or RKO whoever he wants, and he'll still be the face. That's what I see. Spider-Boss has Team Bianca winning, has the faces winning for both Wargames matches. Joey says, I think they're saving Trish versus Zoe for Mania. That'd be a huge moment for Zoe, I tell you that, absolutely. Mine says Drew at Rumble, then Orton for the title shot against Roman at Mania. Wrong side, mate, wrong side. One says, according to Dave Meltzer, he believes Ronda Rousey was a one-off, but said that there's a chance she'll be in AEW. Thoughts? Yep, what's happened there is Dave Meltzer's reported that she won't be in AEW, also she might be in AEW. That's wrestling journalism now. Report both things. And yet here I am getting crap for saying, I don't think we're going to see CM Punk. I'm not supposed to have an opinion. I'm not allowed an opinion, guys. I'm not allowed an opinion. Sai says, and I'm going to read this out because it's a good example of moderation. WrestleWorst. I see what you're doing. This is all a bit needy and you're trying way too hard. It's a bit boring now. There's a whole world out there. Don't be afraid of it. Hope your day improves. Sorry it won't be here. Mine's absolutely right and I agree. Well said, Sai. Martin says, remember Tom and Bray? Now that was knowing. Teased for weeks and weeks. I did report a month ahead of time that Bray Wyatt had signed a new deal with the WWE. This is shortly after I was the first to report that he was interested in coming back and that the WWE wanted to make that happen. Yeah, I do feel there are plenty of reports I've made that certainly provide plentiful evidence of the fact that I do know what I'm talking about. I don't really like to point out the Bray Wyatt one because of obvious reasons at the moment, but yeah. Spiderboss says, Jey Uso's face when Cody mentioned Randy Orton coming back was priceless. The Bloodline took out Randy last year. Indeed. Zane says, I won't be happy if the heels win most of the matches. Yeah, but it'll make people chant CM Punk louder. Martin says, Orton comes out to Cult of Personality. Spiderboss says, give me some Randy Orton and Rhea Ripley interaction. Your day may indeed come. Khalid says, the Viper never forgets. Sean says, imagine all of the hype about CM Punk and the return is Cora Jade since Survivor Series is in Chicago. I still think it's possible. And I've said this already. He's in the crowd. I still think it's very possible he's sat in the crowd and the WWE wait for him to react to a big moment and then just zoom in. There he is. Cut off him. Because it gets the world talking. Dylan says, I personally see Cody versus Randy for the rest of the year ending at the Royal Rumble. Chris says, I got Damage Control and Team Cody Rhodes winning the Wargames matches tomorrow. Me too. Tony says, I predict Rhea Ripley will retain and hope that Jade Cargill challenges Rhea at Mania. Noob says, I got Damage Control winning because Shotzi just said eat the pin. She's not a WrestleMania main eventer like Asuka, Bianca, Becky and Charlotte Flair. Asuka has never main evented WrestleMania. Spiderboss says, Becky Lynch returning at SummerSlam 2021. That is a report I made, yes. Mercedes Money News and Bray Wyatt's return, all courtesy of Spoiler Warning. And plenty more, to be fair. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've mentioned it, and I'm preparing the evidence as we speak to put together the Twitter thread of these are reports that I've made. This is evidence of what I do. I'm just looking forward to that. You don't need to apologise, Martin. You don't need to apologise. It's all good. It's all good. Tony says, I hope Asuka, Io, Dakota and Kairi leave Bayley and quit Damage Control all together. More likely, it is a Nation of Domination moment. Joey says, what if Punk tries to get him backstage again like he did at Raw? That's what security is for. Avi says, be interesting to see if they end up teasing a Money in the Bank cash-in during the main event. If only just a toy of how cashing in on a singles match during an active tag match could work. Not an unfair statement. I get what you're going for. I enjoy that, BM. Appreciate it. And Bailey says, don't miss the watch parties tonight and tomorrow for Survivor Series. We have hit 60 likes. We will be going live tonight for a SmackDown watch party and tomorrow night for Survivor Series. I hope to see as many of you there as possible. Mark says, question about Tiffany Stratton. How long do you think she has left in NXT before heading to the main roster? No room in the main roster right now? I mean, that said, they're bringing Axiom up, so who knows? Possible, Martin. I get what you're saying. I just don't know. Backwards says, do you get more trolls on YouTube or Twitch? YouTube. Twitch, you just occasionally get someone dropping in and saying, hey, buy followers from us. And then I don't. Okay, we are going to wrap it up there. We will be live again in 2 hours for SmackDown. I hope to see as many of you there as possible. Until then, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I will see you all very soon.